All right, welcome back for lesson 3 in our marketing series.
Ooh, marketing series. Nice.
Yeah, it's going well so far.
Right.
This one's all about market research and, we've already talked about marketing basics and really getting to know that target audience.
Yeah.
But, before you launch anything, any campaign, you need to understand the battlefield, right?
Right.
That's where market research comes in.
It's super important.
Yeah, so important. I think it's kind of like, you wouldn't build a house without um, knowing the lay of the land first.
Yeah.
You gotta do your research.
Exactly. It's like a blueprint.
So, okay, help us unpack this. What exactly is market research?
Well, at its core, it's all about gathering and analyzing information
Okay.
to answer your questions about your business. So it can help you identify opportunities. It
Uh-huh.
can help you size up the competition, and it can help you figure out what your target market actually
So
wants.
it's all about getting the intel before you make any big moves.
Precisely. Reducing risk and making informed decisions. So,
Smart.
like, for example, if you think about like a company like Brewbliss,
Rubliss. Okay.
our hypothetical coffee
A
shop.
little coffee shop. I like it.
Yeah, they used market research to find out that 80% of coffee shops already offer oat milk.
80%. Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, no, it's not just a trend anymore.
Right. It's like a requirement almost
It is.
for coffee shops.
Exactly.
Okay. So that's interesting. So they actually they use that information to inform like their business decisions.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the kind of insight that could make or break you.
Right.
For Brewbliss, that was a key piece of information to add oat milk as a standard option.
Smart move. Very smart move. Okay. So they used it to figure out demand,
Mm-hmm.
stay competitive. What else can market research help you figure out?
Let's stick with Brewbliss, okay?
Okay.
Imagine they want to launch a new line of iced coffees.
All right.
Market research can help them figure out like
All right.
what flavors their customers actually crave, how much they're willing to pay,
Okay.
and what kind of marketing messages are going to resonate.
Wow. So it's like you have a crystal ball,
Yeah.
but instead of magic, it's data.
Yeah, it's all data driven.
Okay. So where does this data come from? What are the different types of market research?
Okay, so there's two main types. Primary research and secondary research. So think of primary research as gathering fresh intel.
Okay.
Straight to the source, you're going directly to your target market.
Got it. So for Brewbliss, that might be like if they were to do a survey to see what kind of coffee flavors people want.
Exactly, like a survey, they might do interviews
Okay.
to get like more in-depth feedback, or they might even host focus groups
Oh, interesting.
to get like a group of people talking about their preferences.
So that's primary research. What about secondary research?
Secondary research is like examining existing intel. So you're not collecting new data, you're just analyzing what's already out there.
So for Brewbliss, this would be like looking at reports on coffee trends.
Exactly. Or even like checking out the competitor menus online, seeing what they have.
Okay, so it's like, like being a detective. But instead of looking for clues at a crime scene, you're scouring through reports, data that already exists.
I love that analogy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we've talked about those two.
Right.
But within those two categories, I imagine there are a bunch of different methods
Yes,
that
definitely.
you can use to conduct this research. So we already touched on a few. Questionnaires, interviews, focus groups.
Mm-hmm.
What are some other methods?
Yeah, well, if you're doing secondary research, the internet is a gold mine.
Yeah.
You can find data on, everything.
Right.
Demographics, market trends, competitor analyses.
Yeah.
It's all out there.
I can see how that would be a really powerful tool for that. What about more traditional sources? Like, are those still relevant?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, don't underestimate, like, the good old printed press, like newspapers, magazines,
Okay.
especially for local insights.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They can give you, like, information that you might not find online.
So it's about using a mix of online and offline sources
Exactly.
to get a comprehensive understanding of your market.
Yeah.
It sounds like choosing the right methods is key.
It really is, yeah. And each one has its own benefits and drawbacks.
Okay.
For example, like questionnaires can be great for gathering a lot of information
Yes.
from a large group of people, but you might not get that much depth in the responses.
Right.
But then, interviews, on the other hand, give you rich insights.
Yeah.
But they can be time-consuming and expensive.
Right. So there are trade-offs
Yes.
to consider, for sure. It's about finding those methods that align with kind of your goals and your resources.
Yeah, definitely.
But I want to, before we get like too deep into methods,
Mhm.
I kind of want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier. And it was Qualitative versus quantitative research.
Oh, yes.
This is a fundamental distinction, right?
It is.
In market research.
So qualitative research is exploring the why behind consumer behavior.
Okay.
So like the Brubliss interviews, that's a good example.
So like they're not just trying to understand like what people are choosing, but why they're choosing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Uncovering those like really deep-seated motivations, beliefs, and perceptions that drive their behavior. Now, quantitative research focuses on the what.
The what?
It's about measuring, quantifying things.
Numbers.
Yeah, numbers, stats, percentages.
So if Brubliss wanted to know how many people prefer oat milk to almond milk, that would be quantitative research.
Exactly. They might do a survey and find like 65% prefer oat milk.
Yeah, that's hard data.
Hard data.
That they can use to make decisions.
Exactly. So you're right. You're looking at it through two different lenses.
So qualitative gives you the rich detail, the context, and the quantitative gives you the hard numbers.
Exactly, yeah.
And the statistics.
And often, the best market research uses both.
A combination.
Yeah. So you might start with qualitative to understand those motivations, and then use the quantitative to validate it.
Okay. So it's about getting that complete picture of your market.
That's what we're going to explore further in part 2 of our deep dive.
So stay tuned.
All right.
We'll be right back.
It's good.
All right. Welcome back to our marketing deep dive. So before the break, we were talking about how Brubliss used market research to decide to offer oat milk.
They realized oat milk wasn't just a trend, it was like becoming the norm.
Yeah, that's right.
And that can really give a business like an edge.
For sure. They saw 80% of coffee shops were already doing it, so they had to,
Get on board?
Yeah, get on board, stay competitive. Okay, but gathering the data is only half the battle, right?
Right.
You have to know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So how does Brubliss or any business actually use market research to, like, make decisions?
Well, that's where data interpretation comes in. It's about turning raw data into something actually useful.
Okay, yeah, actionable insights.
Actionable insights, exactly. So let's say, like, Brubliss also wanted to, like, revamp their iced coffee menu.
Okay, all right, so they got the oat milk thing figured out, now they're on to iced coffee domination.
Exactly.
Okay.
So let's say through surveys and focus groups, they find out 40% of their customers are big iced coffee drinkers.
All right, that's a pretty significant chunk of their customer base.
Right. So what do they do with that information?
Yeah, what do they do?
Well, they could just be like, okay, great, 40% like iced coffee. But the real magic is when you dig deeper.
Okay.
So maybe through those focus groups, they find out customers like aren't thrilled about their current iced coffee options.
Oh, interesting.
They want more.
Okay, so it's not just the numbers.
Right.
They're actually listening to what the customers are saying.
Exactly.
About the experience.
And so, like, armed with this insight, they might decide to, like, invest in new equipment.
Okay.
To make fancier iced coffee drinks.
Okay.
Experiment with different flavors.
So they're getting creative with it.
Exactly.
But how do you know if you're focusing on the right opportunities? Like, there's so many directions a business could go in.
Well, that's where understanding, like, market size and market share comes in.
Okay.
Market size tells you how big the whole market is.
Okay.
Like, how much coffee is being sold in their town.
Right, the whole pie.
Exactly.
All right.
And market share is like what slice of the pie Brubliss owns.
Okay, so if Brubliss discovers they have, like, a 15% market share, they're getting 15% of all the coffee sales.
Exactly. And that helps them set realistic goals.
Right.
If they want to grow, they know they need to figure out...
Expand that slice.
Expand that slice of the pie.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like knowing how much you can eat at a buffet.
Exactly.
You don't want to, like, overload your plate. You got to be strategic.
Like strategic. Yeah.
Focus on the areas that are going to make the biggest impact.
Okay, so we've talked about gathering data, interpreting data, and understanding things like market size and market share. But this all feels very, like, theoretical.
Yeah.
Let's get down to brass tacks. Imagine, like, you're launching a new energy bar for athletes.
All right, I like this. I'm already picturing the packaging.
Okay, so where do you start? Well, I'd say start with secondary research.
Okay.
Get a feel for the market. How big is the market for energy bars? Who are your competitors? What are the trends in the, like, sports nutrition world?
Okay, so get the lay of the land before I just jump in.
Exactly. And where do you find this information? Well, the internet.
The internet.
There are industry reports. You can look at competitor websites,
Okay.
read customer reviews, all that good stuff.
So I've done my homework. I've got a good understanding of, the market. What's next?
Now you get into the primary research.
Okay.
Who are you trying to reach? What kind of athletes are you targeting?
Okay, let's say I want to target runners. Marathoners, sprinters, everyone.
Perfect. So now you can start designing questionnaires and surveys to find out what these runners actually want in an energy bar.
Okay.
What flavors they like, what kind of nutritional content is important to them.
Right.
Maybe what kind of packaging they find appealing.
That's so interesting. Okay.
Yeah, you could also do interviews.
Okay.
Get more detailed feedback.
So I'm combining quantitative data from like the surveys with the qualitative insights from the interviews. That's powerful.
It is. And to really get a feel for like how your bar stacks up against the competition, you could even host like blind taste tests.
Oh, interesting.
Where runners compare your product to others on the market.
That's a great idea. Get real-time feedback.
Real-time.
On how it tastes.
Exactly. And don't forget the power of observation.
Okay.
You could like attend running events.
Okay.
Watch how they use energy bars. When do they eat them? How do they carry them? Are they sharing them with friends?
But you're going undercover in the world of runners.
Exactly. The more you understand them, the better equipped you are to create a product they actually want.
So it's about like speeding their language, not just guessing at what they want.
Exactly. You're getting inside their heads. Yeah. And that's what market research is all about.
This is eye-opening. I'm really starting to see how it can be applied to like so many different situations.
It can be applied to anything.
From launching new products to like, just understanding like customer needs.
And remember, it's an ongoing process.
Okay.
You always want to check in with your audience even after your product is like launched.
So it's not a one-time thing.
It's not one and done.
No, it's continuous. You're constantly learning, adapting.
The market changes. You got to stay flexible.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive into market research.
Okay.
I feel like we've covered a lot.
We have.
From like the different types of research to like methods you can use and even like how to interpret that data and apply those insights to actual business decisions.
Exactly.
It's been really amazing.
And in part 3 of our deep dive, we'll explore some more tips and resources to help you kind of get started.
Awesome. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the final part of our market research deep dive. I feel like we've covered a lot of ground so far.
We have, but some people listening might be feeling a little overwhelmed.
Right, I get that.
We've talked about a lot.
We've thrown a lot of information at them. Like, where do you even begin?
That's a good question.
If you're someone listening, where do you begin with this for your own business or even like just a project?
Well, I think the first step is simple. Define your goals.
Okay.
What are you actually trying to learn?
Okay, so it's about having a clear objective before you dive in.
Exactly. Then you want to look at your resources.
Okay.
How much time and money can you actually dedicate to this?
Right, because a small business owner might not have the same budget as like, a big corporation.
Exactly. So a small business owner might just start with simple online surveys. Or even just talking to customers directly.
Yeah, word of mouth.
Yeah. There are also tons of free resources online.
Oh, awesome.
Industry reports, market trends, all of that.
So you don't necessarily need a huge budget to get started?
Not at all.
That's good news.
Yeah. Be resourceful.
All right. So I've defined my goals. I've assessed my resources. I've gathered some data. Now what?
Now the fun part, analysis.
Right.
Dig into your data, look for patterns, trends, and insights that will help you answer those questions.
It's like being a detective, but instead of like footprints or fingerprints, you're looking for clues in the data.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to get creative with data visualization.
Okay.
Use charts, graphs, infographics. It really helps communicate your findings in a way that's clear and engaging.
It's like turning data into a story.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
One last piece of advice. Don't be afraid to iterate.
Okay.
Market research is an ongoing process,
So it's not a one and done kind of thing.
The market changes, consumer preferences shift.
Right. New competitors come in.
You have to stay flexible.
Okay. So it's about staying flexible, adapting your strategies based on new information.
Exactly.
It's like checking in with your customers, checking in with the market regularly to make sure you're still on the right track.
Exactly. And market research is an investment in your success.
All right.
The insights you gain will help you reduce risk and achieve your goals.
This has been an incredible journey into market research.
It has.
I feel like we've learned so much.
I hope so.
We've learned about the types of research, practical tips for getting started,
Hmm?
and hopefully people listening are feeling empowered to use market research to make better decisions,
Yeah, absolutely.
whether they're a small startup, freelancer, or just working on a personal project.
I think anyone can use these principles
Totally.
to achieve better results.
Absolutely. So a huge thank you to Google Notebook LM for helping us dive deep into this topic.
Great source.
It was great. And a big shout out to PLC Strategy for producing this episode.
Always a pleasure.
Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.